Video, I want to show you how to mount an M20 body shell onto the Eclipse 2 chassis. Now, when you cut along the cut line or the scribe line on the M20 chassis, what you end up having is a really very big gap between the bottom edge of the shell and the carpet. I don't think that looks very good. I'd like it a lot lower. So this video is going to show you how you mark and cut the right line on your body shell so it sits a little bit nicer onto the shell and onto the track. First thing I need to make you aware of when you're doing this is the ride height on the rear is 4mm, the ride height on the front is 3.8. I've got 42mm rear tyres and 41 size rear tyres on the front. So that then gives you the right setup of the car, and this chassis or this shell is now sat on the car with those measurements in terms of tyre size and ride height. That's an important part. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the car away and the chassis and show you what you end up with out of the packet. So out of the packet we have the lip, we've got the black score line down there, which is what I'm going to cut out, and the lines around the back here. So that's what I cut out initially, and now I end up with a body shell that looks like this. You can see that this is the cut line that runs down the body shell. If we cut out on this line, as I say, we'll end up with too big a gap in here. What I do know is on the front of the body shell that this line is correct, because when I have it on my car, bearing in mind that I'm doing all of these measurements with the guys cutting on the splitter line, there's guys that will really cut right down to the corner there, but I'm just going to make all of these measurements as though you're cutting the front splitter to the line. So I know that this is the right height on the shell, and what I did was I measured from the bottom edge here so that I get 6mm gap on the rear between the bottom edge of the shell and the carpet or the ground, and you can see that in the image on the screen there. What I then measured was the gap between this line and the bottom of the shell to attain that 6mm, and this gap in here is 11mm. So you need to scribe a line from the bottom of this cut line here. It needs to start 11mm below it. So I take my 11mm and I'm drawing this at the back of the wheel arch. In fact, let's go further back because that makes more sense, doesn't it? So 11mm, so it's almost right at the very back here. Almost right at the very point where I've cut off that crease. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my ruler and draw a line from that point and draw it all the way along the side of the shell. And I'm going to do exactly the same here. 11mm, and draw a line all the way to the front of the shell. Right, so now I end up with an angle, whoops, I end up with an angular line down the side of my body shell. Now, I'm going to cut that out. around the front of the front splitter. Back up my black line. Great. And so you can see that I've now got this gap at the bottom here that will now give me a 6mm gap between the bottom edge and the carpet when I mount the shell with the previous settings, with the 4mm ride height on the rear, 3.8 ride height on the front, and 42/41 tyre size. At that point you can then start to trim your shell how you would like it, but it gives you a good start point for having a body shell sit correctly on the car. Hope that makes sense. Happy racing. Click the like and share button, subscribe to our channel, and we look forward to seeing you all next time.
As long as you're in my